The Guts Racing moment of the week, for sure has to be Kenny Roczen. I talked about it a little on the RDL show before the broadcast. I mean, he was due. He's been riding well all season long. His stats compared to Eli at Glendale are one of the best in the field. And you just knew at some stage this was going to happen, and Kenny was going to get the dub for sure. A lot riding on it. We mentioned the news about Larry Brooks. Larry, we're thinking about you, dealing with a stage 2 colon cancer. He's got a ton of support. Not that Kenny needed any extra motivation, but a little more incentive there to go out and perform at the highest level and get a win for Larry Brooks and everything that he's fighting for and against. Yeah, incredible win. Again, no surprise. He's 24th on the career class victory in the 450 class, 3 behind Bob Hanna for a spot in the top 10 all time. So that's cool. Thoughts and impressions on Kenny this week, RV?
Yeah, he rode solid. Like you said, it was a matter of time.
Yep.
And I think Kenny, I watched, might have been on Instagram. Maybe it was after pre-race or after the race or whatever. But, he mentioned growing up in Germany and hard pack and riding on that. And we all know that throttle control is key there at Glendale, right? It gets hard, but like I said, matter of time before Kenny was going to, win one this season. Technically so sound. The fitness is there, just putting himself in the right position. And, it's not like he pulled the whole shot and just ran away with the thing. He had to come through Hunter, and Hunter's been riding, as we have all seen, been riding super well. And he was able to capitalize on that, move into the lead fairly early and just knock down his laps consistent and fast and 0 mistakes. So, I think Kenny's sitting in a great position right now. Love what I see. We go to Seattle, it's showing 50% rain on Saturday.
50%. Wow.
50% currently it shows today through Saturday. It's going to be clear up until Saturday. So, and as we all know, the mud races, if it ends up being a mudder, that just throws a wrench in everybody's program. But maybe that works into Kenny's favor also, from Europe, from Germany.
The experience.
Good mud rider. But so I'm pleasantly surprised. Or not surprised isn't the word, but happy to see where Kenny's sitting currently.
Straight up. I think too, again, I echo what RV says there. And it's no surprise for a guy like Kenny to go out and win. He's looked great all season long. I think the biggest thing for me, I think he's going to get some more wins throughout the season for sure. Now that he's gotten this first one this season under his belt, maybe that'll give him a little bit extra confidence that he needed, some reassurance there. And again, going to this weekend in Seattle, like you said, RV, with it being a little bit muddy and sloppy, and that'll make the track a bit more technical, not as fast. I think Kenny will do really well in that condition. He gets great starts on an average. He's got incredible technique. His timing is impeccable on starts. I go back to when we had RCH RV, and we were trying to just get the bike dialed as good as possible, and his shifting points, and where should you shift and when should you shift, and dude, automatically in timing, he would shift to the next gear basically right on cue every single time. It was really really impressive, dude. His timing and shifting is just spot on. I just think I look long term for Kenny, that I want him to be in this position when we get to Salt Lake. I think if he can, I think the focus point for him, if I was helping him, and I'm not, I would just say, what do we got to do to get you in this position to be in contention at Salt Lake City? So, whether I think it's more on the mental side of things, and his approach this year, RV, has been, just to take it one race at a time, not look too far ahead, and not get basically caught up in the hype. He told me he's in a great spot, and just basically having fun and again, taking it race one race.
Yeah, and I think something that helps with that too is that Hep Suzuki, and also the Twisted Tea side. You know, we've all talked about it, and everybody knows that bike is an older, let's call it older generation. You know, it hasn't been developed a ton, which can we notice it? Not really. I mean, that motorcycle is a solid platform. And Kenny has talked about like being able to ride, you know, this is a third year, I think, ish on that Suzuki, at least with Hep Suzuki, around those, you know, three or so odd years where, you know, they've made the bike better, but they also haven't strayed very far. They haven't had to make big changes, you know. I think I watched Hunter or somebody else talk about, and it might have been Kenny, like, you know, every 3 to 4 years, the manufacturers may change something, and is it for the benefit, and does it help, and is it better? And then you have to redevelop a new motorcycle, where that thing has just been solid. Obviously it's a good platform to start with, because it hasn't been developed. If it was a bad platform, it would need to be developed, right? And it's a solid platform, and with Larry Brooks, you know, been around forever. I think that's working into both Jason and Kenny's benefit too, just because they have, they know that motorcycle chassis and everything like the back of their hand.
Yeah. Hey, RV, do you think that, you kind of touched on it there, do you think that there is an advantage for a guy like Kenny to just, even though that Suzuki hasn't changed much, do you think that there's an advantage for Kenny riding that bike 3 years in a row, and knowing, say, what it does good, what it doesn't do well? Do you think is helping him in a way?
I do. Like, we'll use any one of these other riders as an example, Kawasaki or Honda or any one of those teams. Like I said, every 4 years they have something change, or, you know, could be fairly drastic, could be a little bit here or there. But then they got to kind of revisit everything and go through all those testing protocols. So I do believe that because that chassis and motorcycle is so sound already, like I said, if it was a hunk of junk, they would have to work on it and improve it and develop it and get it better. But it seems like that thing is a solid platform, and being it, he's able to been riding it for 3 years. Yes, I think you every year you spin those laps and you come back to Supercross or you go back to outdoors. You know that feeling, and you know where it's good and where it's not. And I think where it's not good, you can actually work around those things. And then even if they find something better to make things work better, you know, I think it's a win-win, but eventually it will catch up to them, right? They will, if Suzuki doesn't develop that motorcycle, you know, eventually they will be left in the dust, and they'll be out with that. They'll need to do something to it. But currently, I think it's helping those two particular riders, Kenny and Jason, just being on a solid platform and knowing what moves and what things to change when the track develops the way it does, if it's dry or slippery or hard or ruddy.
Yeah, that was his 80th 450 SX podium. Very impressive, and his 167th SMX League 450 podium. So climbing up the ladder there. Great job, Kenny. That's it for the guts racing moment of the week. Well deserved. Again, no surprise. I'm stoked to see just if he's going to be able to keep that momentum going. Is it going to go into several more wins in a row? I love his chances going into this weekend because, like you said, 50% chance of rain. The track's going to be super techy. If it's muddy, I think Kenny is a great mud rider. He has that experience, RV, like you alluded to, and in a situation like that. And I think he's a very calm rider at times as well, and that helps too. He doesn't hit the ground very often, and that's half the battle in the mud.